People or the magic people?
The troll people, and most of them are from the LGBTQ community.
Right.
Because all he said on the H3H3 podcast was to wait on pushing the rights of gay marriage. This way, you can do it slowly over time.
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than rush into it now, so people, don't have a conniption fit, basically, and fucking, he doesn't want to see his gay friends get killed anymore or have to deal with being ostracized and bullied.
Yeah. Boogie gets hate like this from everybody because he takes this approach with everything, and yeah. Everybody gets mad at him. Like he says it about everybody. Like everyone's like, you should go after Anita Sarkeesian, she's a asshole, like whatever. And he's like, well, no, I can see her point. And people are like, oh my God, you're crazy. And now that's what the LGBT. But can you imagine that this guy is a mostly left-leaning guy?
Oh, I know.
Who pretty much supports gay marriage, supports all these things.
He's gone and been in protests and march for gay marriage and.
Yeah, and these sick people attack him and troll him and go after him. Like, why endlessly. In the world? Like, what is wrong? Like, this is why people like. What is wrong with the world right now? Boogie is banned from Magic. Like,
and they want him to or basically erase everything and be removed from YouTube and social media because he literally just said, oh well, let's not rush the issue of gay marriage. Let's change people's minds slowly so no one has to be bullied and punished and die. This way we can change everybody's minds slowly. You don't want to piss off any of the crazies, was his point.
Yeah, and so he
didn't say it's a bad thing, nothing.
So like even my opinion, like I get what he's saying there, and I get why somebody who is gay or wants to get married right now, like and things like that, would be like, no, I'm gay and I want to get married now. I shouldn't have to wait 20 years because people or whatever. So I get that. I think he sort of just like, and I think he gets that too. But I think that I think
he wanted to protect people. He didn't want to see. You shouldn't have to hide who you are, but not everybody's going to see that and agree with that. And he didn't want to see people get hurt, so he's trying to find like the best solution to everything.
Yeah, and I think if people knew who he was, obviously maybe these people don't even know who he is or something, they would know that he takes the safe route, like the very passive, safe route towards everything. Like this is so passive and safe, right? But they feel like whatever. But there's way worse people like attacking them. So like, why are they wasting efforts on Boogie, who literally supports them, just doesn't support them maybe the way they want to be supported? And now they're proving why they're assholes by going after this guy, by bullying him, a guy who really can't deal with being bullied. Let's be honest.
Can't. He's too fragile at this point.
Yeah, he goes out of his way to like he actually ends up pissing people off because, and this is why I think he was saying he's never talking political again. And it's because, yeah, he doesn't want to deal with this stuff. That's why he takes such a middle ground on everything. But in the end, what happens is you sit in the middle and you don't take a side and nothing really gets done anyway. And I think that they've had enough of that, those people, but there's no reason to now go on the offensive to attack Boogie for just what he said. That's so ridiculous. There's actual like crazy bigoted people out there on YouTube and stuff, and most of them aren't even on YouTube. They're just everywhere else. And to say that this guy's YouTube needs to be taken away because he said that we should take our time over the next 5 to 15 years to slowly kind of assimilate everyone into, what's funny is the right got angry at him too. The people on the right that don't like gay marriage, they got mad at him too. Because
they're saying, you shouldn't take any time. You should just stay outlawed and banned.
Yeah, yeah, we shouldn't be assimilated slowly over time. Or, he wants some kind of integration, methodical integration. So, yeah, he just made everybody mad with saying that basically, if you want something to work in society, it will just naturally build itself in. And I think that, I don't even agree with kind of what he said because I get it. We shouldn't have to wait for something that we kind of think is okay to happen. Like in my view, I just look at it, I say, hey, marriage, yeah, it's supposed to be between a man and a woman, but at this point it means more than that. And in a way with people's connections. And if people are gay and they want to get married, if two people want to get married at this point, I just say go for it. And then anybody who says that it's a sacred thing or something like that, then I just say, well, divorce is insane. Marriage is no longer sacred anyway.
Yeah, the sanctity of marriage has been out the window when, you know, the separation of church and state were no longer,
right,
you know, there. Now marriage is more financially, beneficial than it is, you know, about religion or love. Yeah. A lot of times people get married, you know, to protect their assets, their rights, for taxes. You know, it's not always, you know, and that's the thing. So once that came into play and finances got involved with it over religion and affairs and, you know, breeding a family, you know, that all the rest of it went out the window. It's no longer this sacred, you know, vow. It's literally a tax shelter and a green card maker. You know, when people started marrying to allow people to stay in the country, and people started selling marriages to, you know, offer citizenships, and there's so many different aspects of marriage. You know, to legalize adoption, to go ahead and, you know, change your last name in general. You know, there's a thousand reasons people get married. It's not just because one loves another or because it's, you know, deemed, you know, meaningful in their religion.
I'm just so mad at the Magic the Gathering community. The people that are in charge at Magic are sick. I've seen some of the people's tweets on Twitter from Magic. All they are is SJW, like Tumblr women. It's very strange. And there's these just dorky guys that will pretty much just go, beta guys that will just go along with whatever they say. It reminds me of like that episode of Star Trek where the females ran the whole planet and the guys were like in chains doing their work for them. It's very similar to that. It's really weird. You know,
well, what kills me too is that it's not like, you know, Boogie went ahead and posted a video and came out with this huge platform saying like, this is what needs to happen. He was on a podcast, you know, with Ethan, and he was asked, what are your thoughts? Yeah. It's not like he's been pushing this as a movement and this is what he thinks should happen, you know, and this is what he wants to happen. It was just a thought and a suggestion, basically in passing in a conversation.
And he basically passed on, he was basically trying to sort of take the, take the sidestep the question. Like, okay, you know, work it in over time and relax. And why he was saying that, the reason why he was saying that is because of the visceralness, because you don't understand. Like, I don't think these LGBT people understand, like, in the gays and the SJW people. If you just walk up to somebody and punch them in the face and tell them they need to believe, they need to listen, they need to do the right thing that you think is the right thing, you're not going to win them over. Just like in World War II, you know, when Hitler rounded up Jews and just was like, let's just kill those people and, like, we'll be perfect then. You know, your thought process, I know that, you know, a lot of people throw the Nazi word around and nowadays, and it's stupid. It's like, because someone acts like a certain way, everybody's calling everybody Nazis, and I know that, so I shouldn't really compare that. But, you know, people who are against gay marriage, they think that they're the good guys, you know, and you guys apparently think that you are the good guys, you know, with allowing gay marriage, which I agree with. I want gay people to be able to get married, absolutely, but for you to punch someone in the face, basically, verbally or physically, punch someone in the face and tell them that this is the way it's going to be now. You are the people, and I'm talking about the left people especially, that I used to be part of, that used to do the right thing, or, like, you know, be the level-headed ones and things like that, or be the ones that would have change. And we've made change based on that before. No one really ever makes change by punching someone in the face who isn't sort of a little bit evil. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's hard to force the issue, you know, and there's a lot of people out there that believe gay marriage is as wrong as rape, you know, right. Like, and that's the thing, you know, we know rape and murder are wrong, you know, they're awful, awful things. And they try and attribute those qualities to gay marriage, you know, in the sense of like, this is a finite stance, but really it's an opinion. You know, there is no right or wrong opinion. If you said you didn't agree with gay marriage and I did, and vice versa, neither one of us are right, neither one of us are wrong. You know, that's strictly a non-fact-based opinion, because there's, You know, it's pretty much all a gray area. And the thing with Nazis is that they were indoctrinated to believe such, and a lot of, you know, majority of the Nazis, come to find out, you know, research down the road, didn't even fully agree with Hitler or, you know, things of that nature. They were forced. It was like a fight or flight scenario. So they were Stockholm syndromed basically into agreeing and then believing, so that they, you know, weren't on the wrong side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, which makes you bad for being a bystander. But yeah, some people eventually would snap out of it the longer it went on. You know, I'm sure some of those soldiers were like, what the fuck am I doing? Or like, what's happening? Yeah. You know, but they went along with it anyway, so they're still kind of shit. But, you know, it's when you... here's the thing that why I lean to the gay marriage. I support the gay marriage. I lean to that more because it doesn't really hurt anybody, to me, for two people to be able to get the same rights as two other people, regardless of sex and stuff. It doesn't hurt anybody. That actually helps somebody. So, like, that's why I support it. But for Boogie to be attacked, it's like, this is why people aren't supporting you, morons, you know? It doesn't make any sense to attack this guy, to go to his house. Like, I mean... What in the world, dude? When Boogie, this is, you are sort of making yourselves the evil ones. I don't see, before the LGBTQ and A and B and the gay community and the SJWs. And by the way, this is not all the LGBTQ and all the gay community. This is clearly just a diseased, outspoken
minority
group of
that just
them.
Makes themselves the majority by being louder than everyone else.
But when you go after Boogie, a guy who you can be angry with or not like because his opinions are too passive for you, because he has pissed off everybody. He has pissed off Xbox players, you know, left-wing people, right-wing people. He's pissed off everybody only because his stance on everything is a relaxed, passive stance. That is just him. But you haven't really seen the right, the evil right, like Nazis or whatever you want to call them. And I'm being sarcastic because that's what they would call them. I haven't seen those people attack Boogie like this, but yet
certainly haven't.
You have.
I hate to admit that, but it's the truth.
Why have you? It's like, why? So you have now made yourself more evil than those people, and that's the thing that these LGBTQ and these SJWs, they don't even understand. You guys are becoming the bad guy. Stop it. Stop it. You are becoming the bad guys. I don't know if you don't realize that. But you have forced many people who used to support you to jump ship, or people on the fence to jump ship, because of your erratic, irrational, and abusive behavior towards other people and humans. You are the ones doing that. It's crazy, man. Finally, you know, the Antifa thing, you know, for a while they were out there beating people up who weren't even being... I mean, would you ever think that you would see a conservative right-wing rally with a bunch of redneck guys hanging around?
No,
and a bunch of
not. I mean,
skinny
like said,
soy boys would be the ones that hit them in the face with a bike locker. Like, I mean, like, what?
Yeah, to pull a Laramie project, you know, and to go ahead and friggin' force people to you know, be beaten to death over these types of things. No.
And I can't help it. You know, I don't want to talk politics about anything either. But I can't help it. But see, I have no problem talking politics like this. Because now that I disassociate from both sides and that I'm in the middle and I'm on my own plane of things, I don't feel like I'm making too many people angry. I'm like, there's just right and wrong. And, you know, what some of the stuff the right does is definitely wrong. And right now the right is doing things more bureaucratically wrong. And the left now is doing things like physically wrong, and also... I'm trying to think of the other word. They're becoming bullies. It's the weirdest thing. We used to have to worry about the football jock beating up somebody, but now you have to worry about the nerdy people, like, getting somebody hurt or beaten up.
Yeah, there's no more atypical bully. It's not just, like you said, the jocks or the, you know, picking on the nerdy kids. It's
the nerdy kids are bullies now. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's you know, on a whole different playing field, a whole different level. Everybody is attacking everybody.
And these are the people, Jake. These are the people that. And anybody that knows video games can relate to this. Do you remember, because when I was a kid, I always had trouble with this. You know, I was always a little intimidated a little bit by the big jock guys. You know, I don't want the fucking jocks to beat me up. But, I mean, I got tougher a little bit later. But early on, you know, I was kind of like, oh, man, the sports guys, you know, they could beat me up. But also, the other thing that terrified me were the snarky, dorky, very good at video games kids. Because... you could say you were going to play Magic the Gathering at a, there was a card shop and they were holding a Magic the Gathering tournament. There would be people there that were very snobby and mean. Like you would show you your deck and they'd be like, "That's what you're doing. Like you don't even know what you're doing." You could be pretty good at Magic and then have one of these just crazy kids. Or even in a video game.
One that lived and breathed the rules that
or whatever, just was so smart, just very smart people, and they can just put you down. Like it happens in like video games like Diablo or World of Warcraft. You come in and you're like, "Oh yeah, I don't have the best character. Maybe I need a little bit of help," and they're just like you're a loser, and they just
they
kick
you into the whole next century. Yeah. They go ahead and tear you down and break you apart.
This is the type of virtual mental bullying. And now it's turned into more than that if people are sending cops to Boogie's house.
Apparently, I don't know if he had directly threatened suicide or not. Like I didn't hear the beforehand. I just heard, I watched part of somebody uploaded it in like 7 parts of his stream. And he was saying how, no, I didn't get swatted. They came here. They sent, police officers and ambulances and a fire truck for a wellness checks, and somebody had said that I'm going to kill myself. And I guess what he said was that
I'm leaving.
He was going to disappear. And, in another month, if this hadn't died down, then he was going to end himself. But I didn't hear that myself. So.
Oh, maybe he said it on a stream.
Yeah, he very well could have, but I didn't find it yet anyways. But, I mean, this is all stemming from, now, strictly what he said innocuously on the H3H3 podcast. And like you said, for, him not to have a stance. And he's done it before. You made a point with Xbox. He did it with Xbox fans and PlayStations, Back when the console wars was in the thick of it, he had Major Nelson on one day, who's big for Xbox, and talking about how Xbox will be the next big thing. And then he's at the PlayStation reveal the next day, and they're like, "Hey, I thought you were the Xbox guy. Well, now you're the PlayStation." Like he never picks a side. He plays it too neutral, and everything's played so close to the chest that it's kind of hard to not tick everybody else off in the process.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is the last time I remember, because you could really make a comparison to the left-wing people and the right-wing people, and Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, because it got so crazy with the the next-gen consoles coming out. People took it like warring nations.
I'm an Xbox guy. I wasn't happy that he was like PlayStation. I wasn't happy. I was like, oh, it's too bad the Boogie doesn't play Xbox. But you know what? Oh well, if you like Boogie, then you like him. These people are shitheads. Like if they can't accept him for who he is or whatever, people accept me for what I am. I say some fucked up stuff sometimes, and people are still here, and I know they don't agree with it. Sometimes I say things, and I expect people to challenge me, but you don't expect people to bully the shit out of you and be a listener. Like what they did to him is so messed up, but it's the same thing. He gave his opinion, kind of, and it pissed off all the Xbox kids. And they were the ones that sent him dildos and stuff in the mail. So, and now he says this thing about, basically saying like, don't force people's hand to get into the gay stuff. Like, let's change them over time or whatever. And now when he said that,
drastic.
I heard that on the H3H3 podcast, and I did disagree because I said, well, with some things I agree with him. Like over the next 15 years, we're going to be able to maybe integrate or whatever, but let's say that doesn't work, right? Let's say that doesn't work, and now it's 15 years later, and we really didn't make much progress. In fact, we lost progress, and now we got to wait another 15. So that is, I disagree. I think the time is now, but it's the way you speak to people about it, and the way you convey, and the way you act. And this is a prime example of the wrong thing to do. A guy like Boogie, with the audience he has, that has the ability to support you. And could support you if you reached out constructively and said, hey, Boogie, I'm gay, and I just don't feel like we need to wait anymore. I get what you were saying, but, I wish you pushed a little more on that issue because it is my whole life. Like, and I understand if you don't want to get into it, but it means a lot to me, and I'm a big fan of you. And so here's why I didn't really appreciate that you said 15 years, but, if that is your opinion, I get it. And if you did that yourself, then Boogie might have made a video and said, listen, I do agree, and he might have reset some of those ideas. And that's how you get to people. You humanize yourself, you explain why, and then you tell them you're still there for them, and they'll listen to you. But if you let's send the cops to his house, let's take his channels down. I hope his channel ends, and to threaten him and to bully him, like what are you doing? You're bullying literally an ally of your fucking party, you idiots. Like I'm so
and that's the thing. It's from a place of trying to be protecting too. It wasn't trying to deny anybody rights. You know, Woody's gamertag got in big heat for this a while ago because someone had asked his opinion about coming out, and he told them to wait, basically, because people aren't as mentally understanding or compassionate yet in high school. You know, their world hasn't been broadened for them yet.
Yeah.
So he's like, I wouldn't do it in middle school, especially, and I would, if you can, wait in high school and come out in college, because in college, people aren't gonna. It's not gonna be a world-changing event for them like it is for you. And there's less chance, you know, people don't bully each other really in college. Everyone's kind of just living their own life, trying to achieve their own goals and dreams. And people gave him a lot of flack saying like, oh, well, how dare you tell someone not to be themselves and to hide in the closet and not come out for years and years. But really, he was doing it out of a place of compassion, saying, well, I don't want to see you get bullied and forced to commit suicide because you're ostracized to the point that you can't handle it. But they don't look at it that way.
Yeah, and I can kind of...
And that's the problem with trying to be defensive, you know?
Yeah, and I don't like it either. I don't like Boogie's defensiveness. You know, I've always kind of grumbled about it sometimes when he takes the passive thing, but you know what I mean? I would never want to really get him attacked, but there has been times where I have been angry with him based on a passive comment that he's made. But I've come to realize... I think a lot of these people will come to realize it. Some of them may not, but some of these people that have been really mad at him, if they're really his fans, or they're people that said they were his fans, most of them probably aren't. They're just idiots. But some of them may come to realize, oh, this is the way Boogie is, you know. And I get it, because when you believe in something pretty strongly, and someone just says, well, you know, you got to take this slow approach, you know. I think that these people. I mean, I've had enough of slow approaches with many things. I'm sure these people are just over it. So I didn't agree with what he said on H3H3, although I did agree because I got what he was saying, and that is, he just needed to sort of like reword it in a way, like, you know, like, again, the way we need to talk about it now, we need to do something about it now, but we need to sort of
not force it.
Yeah, ease people into it. But I don't think that should take 15 years at this point, 20 years or whatever he said. But, you know, whatever. It's just something he said. He got asked a question. By the way, that podcast was awesome. We was talking about gobbling that girl's pie. Like, I mean, like,
yeah, that was the one that wanted to feed him.
I'm so mad at him.
Turned her into a literal sundae. Yeah.
I'm mad at him that he thinks that he made a mistake on that podcast. He did not. That was one of the best podcasts. Like, he's. I mean, that's one of the best ones I ever heard.
Yeah, and one of the best for Ethan as well. I mean, they clicked so just fantastically.
That was fun.
It was entertaining the whole way through, and he was very open and honest, you know, and like you said, he admitted a lot of things that he hadn't before, about the divorce, about previous relationships, like you had just brought up, you know, the girl that was a feeder. That was one hell of a thing to hear about, and sexual conquest, all of it. It just, one thing after another.
Yeah, that stuff was amazing. That was really, honestly, it's weird. This really went by the wayside. I don't think he understands. And I know we weren't even supposed to talk about this, but this is so interesting that I had to record this. That was so interesting. Not only was it so interesting, I don't think he realizes that he was doing a service to many people, and he really didn't realize it. There are people out there that want to feed you to your death, that want to do these things to you. And it's weird because I don't think he made the connection. Or maybe he mentioned it, I don't know, but the connection with what his mother did to him and what that girl was doing to him, I'm surprised he didn't stay in that relationship, because you know, he might have been looking for what he had with his mother, you know what I mean? And the fact that he kicked that girl out and was like, you're trying to kill me, get out of here, and he left. I mean, he had the power to walk away from his mother, too. Some people don't, and they would look for that all over again, and they would have ended up dying, probably. So it was just interesting, because there's a correlation there with what his mother did with what that girl was doing, trying to do to him. And there's a lot of fat people out there, or maybe even ugly, just people that think they're ugly and that have low self-esteem, or then people that are large or overweight or whatever. And, you know, you're like, this is all I can get, you know, and you get trapped in something, and you may not see it. You may not see that somebody else... See, your problem might be eating food. Your issue might be you can't put the food down right now, you have an addiction. But somebody else's addiction might be hurting somebody, or feeding somebody, or it's the opposite. Whatever your problem is, there's like an opposite out there. That's why everybody thinks there's always a Superman somewhere, like Unbreakable, because for you know, people whose bones break when they walk, you know, there's got to be somebody who has super bones, you know, and that's logical to think that happened, because there's a yin and the yang and everything. So the same thing with people's mental abilities. So, you know, someone to be all sweet and, wow, this girl's nice to me, and meanwhile she's poisoning you or something, you know, people really got to be aware of that and may have not thought about that. And they may still know about this and they'll still date that person. It could be a man or a woman, actually. And I'm sure this is going on all over the place, and it just does not make the headlines, really. You know,
no, none at all. But a lot of people don't see it, you know, they don't view it as abuse. But her sexual gratifications that she got from, you know, forcing him to eat was not only that she was killing him slowly, but, you know, that she had to be a caretaker kind of role. And for him, he was getting nurtured by one, you know, the overeating was what filled the void for him. You know, he was a stress eater. And, you know, like you said, there's so many different roles to it that people just don't realize or pick up on. You know, abuse and things like that comes in all forms, and it's just not discussed.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that it's wrong, because in the end, like, you know, you kind of make your own decisions. I don't think that girl necessarily needs to be locked up yet. I don't know, but it's pretty close based off of what we heard, you know, and
needs to be addressed at least.
Maybe, yeah, or something like, because what do you do? I mean, it goes. I don't know. In California, you know, you have to tell people if you have AIDS anymore. So I mean, that's a weird thing too. So it's like, you know, you can go to an extreme. You know, in Texas, you know, or somewhere like a red state, you know, you can't be gay, and in California, you don't have to tell someone you have AIDS. I mean, the two extremes are just ridiculous. Although Texas ain't that bad anymore. I mean, Leah's brother actually lives in Texas, and he's gay. But it's just like. You know, I don't know, man. It's just, why can't everybody just whatever? But that's why, I mean, you think the states would work out where we could have, you know, single states where, you know, everybody would work out, but everybody wants it to be all in America or nothing, you know, and so everybody gets really mad about that. But if everybody relaxed a little bit and let the states kind of decide, I think we would have a little bit of a better time, and then maybe the whole country would go that way eventually. But, you know, I think that was the thing. The whole idea of the states is like, hey, you know, if something bad happens in Arkansas, you know, never fear. You don't have to leave the country because...
Exactly. There's you know, another spot that doesn't agree. And
right.
doesn't
you can go to another state. And I'm not saying that, oh, well, go to another state. It's not that Arkansas or whatever state is not wrong, and, you know, that needs to be fixed. But the good news is there's a backup system. There's a support system in America where you can look around the states and say to yourself, what is the best state for me right now?
Yeah, what suits me, you know, what's more beneficial. And, you know, like a big thing with the medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana. You know, look how many states recently just added, you know, medical marijuana. And some states have had it for years. And then other states go ahead and have now even legalized recreational marijuana in small, you know, amounts. And anyone can access it, but then it's still illegal on the federal side, so these shops are still getting closed down repeatedly. Yeah, you know, so it's a messy situation regardless. But
and I think that will get solved, but it's better than like it. It's better than it's kind of like high risk, high reward, right? If you want certain things to be the whole country, right? You want gay marriage to be the whole country, or you want pot to be the whole country. And then there's people on the right that want things throughout the whole country too. So if their things pass, well, you might have to leave the country. So that's why the states, to me, like, I've always appreciated the idea of the states having individual decisions, more power for the states. And that tends to be something that people on the right say more. But I've always thought that more power to the states makes sense because, again, that
you don't have to immigrate to another country and flee for your life because you don't agree with something or you're not in danger. Or, you know, exactly.
You don't say, "Oh, I'm going to Canada." You can be like, "Oh, well, I'm going to Massachusetts. Fuck this."
Yeah, forget Connecticut. This is too expensive. You know, cost of living is not adjusting with my needs. So I'm going to go to New Hampshire because they have cheaper insurance and better health care. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what are you giving up, though? Oh, well, the school systems aren't as good, though. You know, there's quid, you know, pro quo, something for something. There's benefits and downfalls everywhere. So, but yeah, like you said, giving individual choice is needed more so now than ever.
And I mean, a lot of people, like, because like Massachusetts, you know, a lot of people on the right could say, like, oh, you know, look at Detroit, you know, or whatever. They always go to Detroit, right, or Chicago, or whatever. Those are liberal states. Well, Massachusetts is a liberal state, and we don't have anything like that. You know, we don't have anything like that. So it's not the same way every time. It's clearly that something was mismanaged in some of those areas. They had a mega collapse in the auto industry that really hurt things, and it hasn't really recovered, and that's a major issue. But there's also different decisions being made everywhere. But in Massachusetts, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, because I keep searching all the other states to look at, and I keep coming back to people. It just is a good place. Like, I can't believe it. I didn't think it was good here because I want to get out of here because it's kind of expensive. But,
yeah, exactly. But
in the end, you know, for the most part, you can fall on your face, and Massachusetts will pick you up. But when you're in the middle ground in Massachusetts, you know, you may feel like you're being strained a little bit. So, because Massachusetts really kind of promotes you making more money, you know, being a little bit above the average income, or, you know, if you're below the average income, you're supported. It's that kind of trade-off. It's a weird trade-off, but it's fairly balanced here as far as crime, too. But anyway, we got off on a rant. Boogie, I just love this guy. He's always been good to me, and there's no reason for this. It's so ridiculous what happened to him. It's enraging.
It is. And I don't want to see him go ahead and be forced to delete his YouTube or, you know, have to succumb to the will of basically, like, in a form, I don't want to say terrorists, but that's, you know, they're demanding something. This is terrorism.
It's virtual terrorism by the LGBTQ people and the SJWs. Like, this guy literally supports your causes. Who the fuck treats somebody like this? Like, you're supposed to be the people that are good or whatever. No one's going to think that you're the good guys when you treat people like this. It's stupid. You're idiots, like, at this point. Really. At least the ones that are doing this are. I know it's not all of them. I'm sure there's some out there that are mad about this, too. Like, because Boogie probably has a lot of gay listeners, so they can't be happy with what those people said. I'm sure they're not happy with what he said. But, you know, I don't know. That's about it. This is the Joe Cronin Show on Corrupted. Hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment. What do you guys think about this? I was here with Jake DeMarco at Countdown Ended on Twitter. I'm at Real Cronin on Twitter. This is Corrupted Entertainment. And I'll see Boogie soon on one of his streams probably. Now I have to give him a shout out. I haven't talked to him in a little while. All right. Talk to you guys later. More podcasts to come. And we got the gaming podcast coming up later tonight, which should be fun. We're going to be talking a lot about the future of gaming and then little things about maybe PUBG and Diablo and some other stuff about the Google console that's coming out. There'll be a lot of weird stuff to talk about tonight on the gaming podcast live.
Yeah, episode 3.
Episode 3, baby. Are you gonna be here for that?
Yes, I will.
Oh, look at that. All right, guys. Later.